Hello, welcome, and thanks for joining me again today. This is part two of what we're talking about concerning loyalty. Is it loyalty or is it selfishness? And in part one, I only described the characters, who they were. There were seven characters. There was King Saul, King David, Ishbosheth, Joab, Asahel, Abishai, and Abner. Those were the characters. So today we're going to get off into the meat of this narrative. And at the very end, you're going to be able for your own self to determine if this was a position of loyalty that Abner showed toward King Saul in his house, or if it was selfishness, if he was in it for himself. So let's get started. At the time of this narrative, David was ruling over Judah and Saul was reigning over Israel. Well, Saul and his three sons were killed in battle. Saul and his sons, they were killed in battle. There was Jonathan, some of David, Saul's other sons, and Saul himself. They were killed in battle. And after they were killed, King David, being the man that he was, he buried them. Now, after their death, what Abner did, remember who Abner was? Abner was Saul's cousin. He was his lead military man. So after Saul was killed in battle, him and Jonathan, there was only one of Saul's sons left, and that was Ishbosheth. So what Abner did, he went and he made Ishbosheth king over Israel. Well, that wasn't really the way it was supposed to be. King David was supposed to rule over Judah and Israel after Saul died. But instead of that happening, Abner went and he made Ishbosheth king over Israel. Now, there were several reasons maybe that he could have done this, maybe that he did this. Maybe it was to protect his position. Maybe he needed a job. And maybe Ishbosheth was not going to keep him. Well, anything really could have happened. But what he did was he secured himself a position by taking Ishbosheth and making him king when he knew very well he was not supposed to be king. And what he was doing was he was standing in the way of God for a minute, temporarily standing in the way of God's plan for King David because God had promised King David that his house would rule. So, at one point, uh, David's men, led by Joab, and Abner's men, led by Abner, they went into they had a confrontation, and most of Abner's men were killed, and Joab's men they flourished. So they took off. Abner took off, seeing that they had lost the battle. Took off, and Asahel chased after him. Remember what we said about Asahel. Asahel was like could run like a gazelle. He was very swift on his feet, and he pursued Abner. Abner kept telling him, "Look." First, he asked him. He said, "Are you Asahel?" He said, "Yes, I'm Asahel." And he said, "Well, go back. Stop pursuing me. Leave me alone. Go back." But Asahel would not listen. He kept pursuing Abner. So Abner turned around and he slew him with his sword, put his sword through his stomach, and killed him. This situation right here began a feud between Joab, his brothers, his two remaining brothers, and Abner. And it was furious. Okay. So now, war between the house of Saul and the house of David continued. David and his kingdom and his house, they flourished. They got better and better, stronger and stronger. But Ishbosheth's house, Saul's house rather, Ishbosheth, Ishbosheth now king, it began to get weaker and weaker and weaker. And this is what happened. Ishbosheth accused Abner of either having relations with one of Saul's concubines, her name was Rizpah, or he really did have relations with her. That's the story of that is found in 2 Samuel uh, chapter 3, verse 7. But the custom, if this had, if Abner really wanted her, he was supposed to, by custom, have been able to marry her, but not just lie with her. Uh, but Ishbosheth accused him of lying with her, not just wanting to marry her, but just lying with her. So this upset Abner very, very badly. And this is what he said. It caused outrage. And he retaliated. And let me read it for you in 2 Samuel chapter 3, verse 8 and 1. Then was Abner very wroth for the words of Ishbosheth, and said, Am I a dog's head, which against Judah do show kindness this day unto the house of Saul thy father, to his brethren, and to his friends, and have not delivered thee into the hand of David, that thou chargest me today with the fault concerning this woman? So do God to Abner, and more also, except as the Lord hath sworn to David, even so I do to him, to translate the kingdom from the house of Saul, and to set up the throne of David over Israel and over Judah, from Dan even to Beersheba. So here we go. So Abner, because of his anger toward Ishbosheth for accusing him of lying with Rizpah, not marrying her, but lying with her. Now, it would have been very dishonorable for the house of Saul if Rizpah had lied with if Abner had lied with Rizpah. Actually, it was considered treason, and it was really a statement of war. It's an invitation to war. That was a custom. This is really what upset Ishbosheth and what made Ishbosheth confront Abner about this situation. So now, what Abner is getting ready to do, as you just heard, he is getting ready to turn the kingdom, or to turn the house of Saul over into the hands of King David, which would make King David be ruler and king over Israel and Judah. So, what's going to happen to Ishbosheth? What is supposed to happen to him? So, now this begins the question of Abner's position of loyalty. Was he really loyal to King Saul's house? Well, maybe was he loyal to King Saul? Just only loyal to King Saul, or was he loyal to King Saul's house? I believe that is the question. So here we have Ishbosheth in a position where he's not going to be king again. Well, what's going to happen to him? And Abner is here. Okay, also know who Abner was. Abner was the one who was King Saul's right hand man. He was there when David went up in that cave when Saul was pursuing him to kill him early on, when he was younger, he was the one that was with Saul. Abner was. When King David went up in that cave and cut a piece of Saul's skirt off to show him, I could have killed you, but I didn't kill you because I'm not going to hurt God's anointed. You are God's anointed king. I'm not going to do it. But what I'm going to show you, King David, you and your right hand man Abner, is that I could have killed you. And what David did after he had done that, he stood afar off and he made an accusation. Well, this wasn't really an accusation, it was true. That Abner, where were you? I could have killed your king. You were not really protecting your king the way you should have protected him because I could have killed him. And here's a piece of his skirt to prove it to you. Abner, of course, he didn't like it because it almost showed that, look, you were negligent. You were negligent in protecting your king. You didn't fully protect your king. I could have killed him, but I'm not that type of man. I'm King David. I'm a man after God's own heart. I have integrity and I'm an honorable man. And I don't kill that way anyway. Somebody can easily kill a person in their sleep. Let's go heads up. David was a man after God's own heart, and he proved his integrity over and over and over. And I think at the very end of this, I'm going to show you the many times that King David really showed integrity. And he showed us that he was a man really after God's own heart. And he always meant to do people right, except for that one time when he slept with Bathsheba and had her husband put on the front line. He was working out of his flesh, out of fear, and if you ask me, out of lust. So there it is. That's part 2. Now, in part 3, we're going to get off into what Abner did, what he really, really did. Did he really do this? Did he really do what he said he was going to do? Or was he just angry and upset? Was he wanting to get back at Ishbosheth for accusing him? Or did he have another motive in mind all the time? See, a question of real loyalty comes in part 3. So until then, I'll see you in part 3. And may the Lord bless you real good.